Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Rant Said Poetry, hosted by me, your host, Michael James Edding. I'm going to show you something right now. It's the cover of the new issue of the National Enquirer. Take a look. Okay, as you may have noticed, they have the death photos of Steve Irwin that they've decided that they're going to publish, which they did. It wasn't a hoax. I had the opportunity to open a copy that was at the newsstand, and I was kind of horrified that anyone would actually show that in a newspaper, or even a scandal sheet like the National Enquirer, which isn't a real newspaper but a celebrity gossip sheet in the US here. I think it's totally irresponsible and wrong, and it's just a way of showing how some people will do anything to make money, which leads into the title that I had for this episode, Shame and Guilt, or Guilt and Shame. I forgot how I exactly titled it. I think that one thing that people today seem to have lost that was part of earlier generations was a sense of guilt and a sense of shame. People have a me attitude. They like to say that I'm going to do whatever I feel like I'm going to do because it's my life. I can do it. You can't tell me what to do. I don't understand this mindset. It's foreign to me. I think some of it has to do with an erosion in values. I think it's an acceptance of situational ethics versus moral absolutes. As you know, I'm a Christian. I firmly believe my convictions. Nothing is going to ever change that. So if you disagree with my beliefs, that's your decision. But feel free to listen to me if you wish, or change the channel. There's a whole YouTube community out here. Everyone is different. We're all unique individuals, and we all have unique ideas that we may not understand from one person to the other. These are hurdles that we need to overcome. We need to try to understand each other, even if we don't agree. You don't have to agree. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes us human. How boring would it be if every one of us was the same? I mean, do you not understand some of these things that make us different? That's okay. You don't have to understand it, but you do have to accept these things. One thing about me that's kind of unique is my accent. I talk a little bit funny to some of you. I've been teased about it my whole life. I think if there was one thing that I could change about myself, it would be the way I speak. It's the one thing that when I get in front of a crowd of people and I'm reading poems in a dark, crowded coffee house, it's a little hard to understand me, and it's something that I get made fun of every now and then but it's part of who I am. It makes me different. It makes you different. The point I'm trying to make, regardless of your religious conviction, whatever faith you may have, is that you shouldn't be loving money and things and using people. You should be loving people and using money and possessions. They're tools. People aren't. There's nothing more important on this planet than human beings. You have no idea when a loved one is going to be gone like that. I don't think that Steve Irwin's wife and children expected him to get stung to death by a stingray. No matter what type of dangerous occupation he had, I think they believed that he was always going to come home. And people do take that for granted, that your best friend could be riding on a motorcycle and this is what he does, and he just didn't come home today. Or your boss is on a plane and the plane crashes. You have no control over these things. But do you really want the last thing that goes through a person's mind to be some regret about a fight that you had or a nasty thing that you said? No one is a perfect person. There aren't any perfect people. So I don't exactly know where this rant is going. I don't have a script. I'm just a poet. I have a book. The only poem that I have in this book that I think has to deal with time and the shortness of life in general is a poem called "My Clock is Ticking." My clock began ticking. It was announcing the start of a race with no definite end, a journey with scattered signs which gave little hints, some true, some false, confusing messages that spoke in circles, often raising questions too complex for me to solve alone. My clock is ticking. It's a rhythmic reminder of the passing of time, the story of a lifetime of discovery, of running in circles to find the signs that gave the answers to questions I wanted to know concerning the choices life could allow. My clock stopped ticking. Ticks are low, monotonous tones. But these sounds are blasts! Thermonuclear explosions going off in chronological sequence as bearded men wearing white robes march in circles, each holding signs which proclaim, "The end is here. The end is now. Repent!"